Hi, I'm Don Shanks, and I played Michael Myers in Halloween 5.
Nice timing. This is Justin Beam with HalloweenMovies.com and author of Halloween: The Complete Authorized History. Don, it's great to be talking with you today.
Well, it's good talking to you. It's been a while since I've seen this movie.
And how long has it been?
I would say about 20 years. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but, you know, at the different horror conventions.
At the beginning here, so these are your hands, actually, your knife work with the pumpkins.
Yep. Which was kind of hard to do because we were shooting it in June, and there aren't too many pumpkins at that time of year. So we killed a few.
And were you working with Dominique on what to do with the pumpkins, and how did he instruct you on how to destroy these things?
I mean, we just kept stabbing, and they would, get little isolated shots. And, I mean, we did it for, I don't know how long, it seemed like forever.
Yeah, I think it really sets a tone for the film, and it's a play on the iconic opening sequences from 1 and 2 and even 3 to an extent, with a pumpkin, sort of the classic image at the start of the film. But this really sets a violent tone for where Part 5 goes, which is much darker territory than we've seen before.
Well, it actually got an X rating in the beginning because of the violence.
Did it?
Yep. This first part here, that's George Wilbur.
That's right.
This is from Halloween 4.
Right. And so what was the origin of your involvement with Halloween 5?
Well, the stunt coordinator, Don Pike, called me and asked me if I was available for work. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, we're doing this film, Halloween 5, and would you care to come out and play one of the parts? A stunt part. And I go, yeah, okay. He goes, it's the Michael Myers character. And then I met with Dominique, and the first thing he said to me is, can you walk like wood through water? So I did it, and he goes, okay, you got the part. Now, this one we reshot where he's getting blown away, but I think that's George Wilbur, because I don't remember the outhouse in the one we did.
Yeah, that does look like the same shot from 4 there. And so when they asked if you wanted to play Michael Myers, I take it you were familiar with the character.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'd be glad to. This is me crawling through.
And where was this right here? Was this on a set or?
That was on a soundstage right there. And this next part coming up is a place called Storm Mountain in Utah, right there. I didn't have a fire suit on, and actually it burnt the back of the wardrobe.
And what's the name of your current production?
Nightlight.
Nightlight.
The water was freezing cold. I had one safety at the bottom of this, and if I missed it, I'd go through a water processing plant. So I kind of had to save my life.
Did you have a flotation device on under there? You can sort of see that there's something under your jumpsuit.
That's my wetsuit, that's all.
Okay.
They told me to keep my feet above my head, try to keep my feet up, or it'd suck me down. We actually shot this twice. We shot with this gentleman, and we shot it one time before with Theron Reed, who was a punk comedian here in Salt Lake. They called him Dr. Death.
So why do you think that they came in and decided to replace that footage?
It was a little demonic. I mean, it had all sorts of, they had witches come in and do all the stuff on the walls and the Druid drawings and all the, and there was like an altar that I was on. And I don't know, I thought that was kind of cool. One of my best kills. I mean, I picked Theron up over my head and broke his back, then slammed him on the altar and put the rock through his chest. So I thought it was kind of cool.
It's a shame that only a portion of that has sort of gotten out for people to see.
Well, in Fangoria, they have one picture of Theron holding a skull. And that's, I think, the only picture that, I don't know, I've seen.
In the 25 Years of Terror documentary, there is a few snippets of that footage that so people can see what you're talking about, but it doesn't get into the altar and all of that.
Like I said, it was, one of my better kills.
And that was Ramsey Thomas who did the new footage with the older hermit, right?
Well, it was Mustafa Akkad who objected to the other.
It was, okay.
He had the final say-so on everything. And this little Danielle, she was a trooper. She's directing now, too. She just did a film called Among Friends.
Yeah, it's interesting how her career has blossomed since these two Halloween films really set her on a path, and she's even in the most recent two Halloweens, of course, for Rob Zombie.
Right, mm-hmm.
And of course, this is an homage to the intro of the original Halloween, with the mask and the point of view, that footage there. While we're looking at this, maybe it's a good chance. What was it like working with Danielle? She was so young, and her acting seems to belie her age.
She turned 11 when we started filming this. And you know what? She was like one of the guys. She wanted to be doing stuff. She wanted to be there. She wanted to do her own stunts. She had a stunt double, but, she went, oh, and there's the thorn.
Yeah, maybe we should touch on that. So that is your wrist, right?
Right, that's my wrist. But in the one with Dr. Death, he's giving me the tattoo.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to mean eternal life. So I was told, the thorn.
So that's how that origin was explained to you, that it's eternal life, and it was Dr. Death that was giving it to you. It wasn't something that you had before you went into his shack.
Well, I think they used it before, but I don't know that it was tattooed on. I know they use the symbol a lot. And as you watch the film, you'll see it all the way through.
Right.
And this is where I don the mask and kill the guy.
There you go. And there's the rock.
Yeah.
So that's actually a hybrid of the new footage and the original Dr. Death footage.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's weird, too, is that the river that we were in, 2 days after we filmed that one sequence, it flooded the whole area, and they had to rebuild the set.
Wow.
Took out the bridge, everything.
Do you remember how long the shoot was on 5?
It was 5 weeks.
5 weeks, okay.
And like I said, we're still using some of those same locations.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk more a little bit later about Thorn and about the character associated with it when we get there. But yeah, this is some really intense acting coming out of Danielle here. It's amazing what she delivered in both of these films.
You know what? She's, in all of watching her, and as, it's been years since I've seen this, but, she's just, she's really, really good. For a little kid, and we're up all night, and, she wanted to be there every minute. And Donald Pleasance was just a great guy to work with. Kind of quiet, but I mean...
A quiet guy?
Pretty much until he had to do his work.
So did you have much of a chance to talk to him on set?
Not a lot. Not a lot. As the character of Michael Myers, I just tried to stay away a little bit. There's some scenes here, when we get to them, I'll explain what we're doing. But, a very, very nice man.
Something to tell us. 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 Hey there, funny face. What? Thank you.
And Ellie, she was a little sweetheart too. Wendy.
Yeah. So you were familiar with the previous 4 films? Had you seen all of them up until that point?
I'd only seen part 3. I mean, 1, 2, and 3. I hadn't seen part 4.
Okay.
And I asked them if they wanted me to go see it, and they said no.
Huh.
You know, that they wanted to bring a different dimension to the character.
Were you familiar with George Wilbur? Had you worked with him before?
I hadn't worked with him. I had heard of him, but I didn't know him. You know, when we started doing the different horror conventions, you know, it was when we met.
Hiding behind door number 3. Ba-ba-dum-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-da.
So can you talk about your first impression of Dominique as the director?
He was French and Swiss, and he was a little more artistic than a lot of directors I'd worked with. You know, that he had this vision, and he had, you know, it was just a little bit different, but, you know, it all came out on the film.
A lot of people involved with this picture have talked about his distinct vision. How did he communicate that with you guys?
Well, I mean, he was very, sometimes, well, when it comes up, I'll explain that, you know, in The Kill with Ellie. But he had different ways of saying what he wanted. You know, it's like, you know, when he's asking me to walk like wood through water. You know, when you think about it, it's sort of fluid, but yet rigid. But, you know, first sounds a little strange, but then when you think about it, it's like, oh, I get it. But one of the things I had to do is wherever you think Michael is, I was there, you know. And Donald Pleasance would come and ask me, you know, if I would come and just be there, even though I wasn't seen, just knowing that I was there. You know, just having that presence someplace in the room. You know, he wouldn't tell the other actors where I was either.
Child.
They know that Michael Myers is her uncle, and that she attacked her stepmother. That's why they fear her, especially on Halloween.
I never should have let my parents talk me into leaving. I don't know what I was thinking.
You're afraid.
I am not.
You're afraid the whole thing might start to happen again. There's nothing wrong with being afraid.
And I suppose there's nothing wrong with just leaving my little stepsister here alone.
You can telephone her from the cabin. She'll be properly looked after.
Then why do I still feel guilty?
What were your early discussions about Michael like, aside from after you sort of got a grasp on the wood through water concept? What were the producers and Dominique looking for from you in Michael? You mentioned they said, don't watch 4 first. Did they make reference maybe to part 1 or part 2, or what else were they looking for from you?
Nope. They just wanted to make it all kind of unique. You know, same but different. You know, when I was in college, I used to do mime. So that came out a little bit. You can see that, you know, in the character. But I kind of felt like a voyeur.
A voyeur?
Well, I had to, I mean, I'm window peeking all the time. I'm always, if you look at him, you know, he's kind of a voyeur, you know?
When considering Michael Myers as a character, do you see him, or did you conceptualize him as more of a serial killer, a sort of supernatural boogeyman, or where did you see him?
A little of both. You know, I mean, you kind of take a little of each, you know, and then it's something about when you put the mask on that everything kind of changes. You know, then you become that character. I mean, they blacked out my eyes so you couldn't see my eyes, you know, and it's just this white face that's coming at you. And then you just kind of play off the people as they react to you or don't react to you.
Yeah. Well, that brings up The Mask itself. It's such an iconic piece of genre cinema, and certainly in the Halloween series, it's such a key element. What do you remember about working with Greg Nicotero on the modeling? Did he do a mold of your face to start things off?
Well, actually, if you look at The Mask, it's my face and it's Greg's face. You know, originally, you know, I think it was his, and then it didn't fit exactly. So in the hotel room, he did a plaster cast of my face, and we kind of changed it. And throughout the movie, we had to change it a little bit more because I got my nose broken. And so, it's a little bit of his face and it's my face. But it was molded so that it would fit my face, perfectly. And that was the bad thing when we were in the river because the water got up underneath the mask and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't blow it out. And the eye holes, they're filled up.
Right.
I have to go downstairs. Oh, brother.
So here I am being a voyeur again.
Oh, there you are. Yep.
Always the voyeur. Always in the background.
Was it a special moment for you when you put the mask on for the first time? What was that moment like?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's, I don't know, it's, you become the character. Errol, once you put the mask on, then you become that, you become Michael Myers. And the walk comes and the little head tilt and all that.
Were there several masks that you had tried for, different looks for Michael, or was it just what Greg showed up with and then you guys ended up modifying?
It was what Greg showed up with. There were only 3 of those masks.
Okay.
And what they had to do, too, if you look at the neck of it, they had to put makeup sponges underneath of it because it fit so close to my neck, it didn't look like a mask exactly. They wanted to look more like a mask.
Yeah, you definitely see more of the neck in this mask than any of the others in the series. It's one of the things that makes it really obvious when you see pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a challenge to work with through those blacked out eyes?
Yep, yeah, very much so. Especially in some of the sequence coming up, I'll explain it a little bit more. But yeah, when the lights are on, you get kind of a starburst because it's nylon stockings on the eye holes.
Mm.
So it cuts down your depth of field. And when you're working with edge weapons, it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Bye, sweetie. I love you. You be a good girl. Bye.
So she was perfectly all right. Come on, Billy. I think Jamie needs to get some rest.
Jamie, are you okay?
Come on.
And Jeffrey, he was good too. Great little kid.
Yeah, it's a lot for these children to go through to appear in a film like this.
Well, and it's mostly all night shooting too. So, I mean, you start feeling like a vampire. It's all okay if you can get home before the sun comes up.
Tell me what you know. Yeah, right. Right, what you know.
Look at how good she is. She's crying on cue, and she did this over and over. I mean, she's just so good, and she's just a little kid.
That's that maturity.
Yeah.
And just prior to this, you had done Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 as the stunt coordinator, right?
No, I did. Well, I was part 1 as the stunt double for the Santa Claus.
Okay.
And then I was in 2, 3, and 4, I guess. They used, footage from it.
Right. Yeah, 2 doesn't have a whole lot of original content. It's a lot of you.
Here I am being a voyeur again.
Yeah, how you sort of exist in the shadows.
Yes, the shape.
Did they refer to you as the Shape or as Michael in the script for this?
They did both. I mean, but, the jacket I was supposed to get, they were putting the shape on it.
That you were supposed to get, you didn't get the jacket?
No, I didn't get it. It's out there somewhere.
Max.
This is in the avenues in Salt Lake City. And I really hated killing Ellie because she was so She's a little sweetheart, but it's my job. Why can
Yeah, considering all that she survived in part 4.
Uh-huh. Well, and then this place where we're doing this, Dominique is explaining how the knife is, oh, how should we say it? Kind of like having sex. And that, I don't know. It just sounded a little weird, but it comes off. Actually, the scissors, but you know.
And so how was Dominique instructing you with this? This is really the first time that we're seeing you taking that.
Then I'm almost making love to her in the sense that Michael would. I know that sounds a little strange, but that's, you know, that they had this relationship.
Her body was shaking.
Every time a little girl twitches, I'm supposed to call out the National Guard.
How many people did he kill last year? Have you forgotten? Your own daughter?
I don't.
No, of course you don't forget. How could you? You never looked into his face, did you? You never saw his eyes. You never saw that nothing, no expression, blank.
Now, originally, it was said that Donald had wished this to be his final Halloween film. Were you aware of that while you were working with him? Was that something that was discussed?
They had said something about that, but then, you know, everything that we were doing was leading to a part 6.
Was there a lot of talk of part 6 throughout this? Was it always a consideration with what you were doing?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I'll explain that a little bit as we go along, too. I don't want to tip my hand too soon.
Sure.
But yeah, we, you know, different things that we would do. At first, I didn't know what they were doing because it's like, okay, why are we doing this? And why are we doing that? You know, it's like, and they were doing it because it was setting it up for part 6. At least that was my understanding.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversial elements between this and part 6, and you know, several of them, like Thorn and the other character that we'll discuss later, are definitely hot topics to this very day for fans. You know, very hotly debated. So it'd be interesting to explore that.
I'll explain it the way it was explained to me once we get to it. And Wendy, she was good too. I mean, you know, she had to work her butt off. I mean, just constantly on.
Rachel, I got you a present.
So what kind of preparation did you go through for the role? Did you guys have rehearsal time at all?
Nope. Pretty much just go in. Being a stunt player, I pretty much, you know, come in and do it the way I'm supposed to. Though I've been an actor too. But you have certain things, certain techniques, how you're going to use the edge weapons and whatnot. And the main thing that you're trying to do is make sure that everyone's safe. And we were using real knives, real scissors, all the stuff were real. I mean, at some point we had a couple of retractable knives, but most of the time I have a real knife, and it's sharp.
Had you worked with Don Pike before?
Oh, yeah. We had worked on a Chips episode years before and kind of became friends. And then when he came into town, you know, it's like, you know, hey, we're doing this. Would you want to come out and work? And I thought it was just going to be for a couple of days. I didn't know it was going to be the whole film.
And you probably had no idea what you were getting involved with.
Well, not at first. I mean, as he started explaining it to me, it's like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. You know, because you never try to take too much for granted.
Sally! It's Halloween, right? Can you believe we
The line producer on this, Rick Nathanson, we had worked together on a couple of films called China O'Brien, and I'd also worked with Kelly Schroeder, the assistant director. And so when they came into town, it just kind of all fell into place. And Tamara, she's so pretty.
to go up to the country with her parents? Oh, Max, shut your canine trap! What if my mom calls and finds out?
So Halloween isn't your average series in terms of fandom, and by this point, after the excitement of Part 4, what were they saying in terms of how they want the characters to be treated and what Michael meant to the series and things like that? Because after Part 3, there was sort of a void there, and Michael's return was heralded and welcomed by fans with box office success.
Oh, yeah. They didn't know how popular Michael was until they did Part 3. And, you know, how the fans, like, you know, reacted to it. And what had happened was Mustafa Akkad, who owned the rights to it, sold the title Halloween, but not the rights to Michael Myers. So that's why Halloween, you know, Season of the Witch was so different. And then when, you know, the people got so upset about it, he took it back and, you know, started doing these.
What was Mustafa like to work with?
He was great. He was, his little girl would come out on set and she'd be sitting on my lap and he goes, "You're supposed to be afraid of him. He's Michael Myers. He's the killer." She goes, "I like him."
Danielle says the same thing.
What did Danielle say?
How kind and gentle you were on set.
Oh. Well, I figure since I'm killing everybody, I should go the extra, you know, step.
What? Come on, you guys can have the house to yourself. It's cool. Mikey and I like it in the car. Oh, honey, don't worry about it.
I'm worried. I've just been in a weird mood all day.
Well, everybody in this town is in a weird mood. They should ban Halloween in this town.
Michael!
But see, during all these scenes, I had to stand there, not doing anything, you know, just so that they knew that I was in the background.
And you were in full mask and everything?
Oh, yeah. Everything. The prosthetics on the hands for the burns.
Hey, you're just in time to give us a ride. Come on, Sammy. Sorry about last weekend.
You can see me in the background there, just looming in the background, just behind the trees.
See? Tina, I thought you wanted to see Jamie.
Look, you're killing me, babe. Okay? What'd you just get at?
We could go later, right, Mikey? Right?
Mustafa was famously protective of the Michael Myers character from, you know, Part 4 on. And did he have any kind of guidance for you in terms of what you could or couldn't do, you know, sort of do's and don'ts?
Well, when they first wanted me to play Michael, Don says, "I don't think that you're tall enough." So I got lifts and put him in the boots. And then when I walked on set, Mustafa's going, no, he's too tall. He's too tall. Michael's not that big. You know, so I took the lifts out and I was fine. But, you know, it's pretty much, you know, they liked what I was doing. So, you know, when you like it, you don't change it.
This is a very complex sequence here as you're sort of stalking her through the house.
Well, as you think that I'm stalking her. But what it is, I mean, I was actually doing it, well, you'll see it turns out to be someone else. But I was actually doing the stalking.
Yeah, you can see that it's you following her in those.
Yeah, they wanted it to be the connection between what she saw is what I saw, and vice versa, that we had a connection.
Did you work with Danielle on movements because you guys share some movements with your hand, with putting the mask on and things like that? Did you work with her on those things?
I kind of just worked off of her, you know. I mean, she was more familiar with the character, having played it, you know, in the other one. Mm-hmm. She pretty much knew what to do.
It's okay.
There you are. We've been looking all over for you. Come to me, baby. Come on. What happened? Was it one of your drinks again? Huh? Okay, come on.
You gotta help me, Jamie.
gotta help me to find him. We both know he's alive. But
you know, for a little girl to get this concept and to do as well as she did, I mean, I just can't say enough about her. You know, but Donald gave you a lot to play off of too, though.
Yeah, he's much more active in this film than any of the other Halloweens, and he has a sort of mania about him.
They let him act. You know, they gave him things that he could play off of, and she's playing off of him.
You had a number of scenes opposite him and actually very close with him. How is he to work with in scene?
Mesmerizing. You know, when we get to the scene, I'll explain that a little bit more too. But you start listening to his voice, and he has such a way of understating everything that you have to listen a little more, and then you get mesmerized by that. And he has a way of going up and bringing it down, and I mean, you know, a little like Burgess Meredith. He was kind of that way too.
It's almost musical in its approach with dynamic.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
help me to find him. We'll find him together. There's a reason why he has this power over you. Did you ever wonder what it is?
Baby.
And here is possibly the most controversial introduction in the entire Halloween franchise.
Uh-huh. Well, this is my idea right here. When you kick a dog, then everybody hates you. But as we get into it, I'll explain him just a little bit more, too.
Sure, sure. Another controversial aspect of this film is the Myers house is such a departure from the way it's ever looked before.
Well, when I went into this house, I go, wow, the art department did a great job. And they go, we didn't do anything. This is the way the house was when we came in, that they were renovating it.
Wow. So how close in proximity was this to the house earlier in the picture? Were they all within close distance?
It's just a few blocks away.
Okay.
You know, maybe 3 minutes away. This is in the Avenues, too. But see, I had to be in this scene, too. I had to be hiding. Even though you don't see me, he wanted to know I was there somewhere.
What you want from her?
Dominique has talked about how much fun he had working with light from the outside.
Oh, yeah.
On all of these on all these sets. Was that unique for you working with that, especially considering the mask and the eyes and all of that? I mean, so much of this film plays out almost like noir, where it's shrouded in darkness.
Yeah. Well, it was easier to play. I mean, you know, because you get the feeling it's almost like going into a haunted house. You know, the feeling. And Rob Draper, the DP, was excellent. I mean, if you look at his technique and how it's lit and stuff, it really has, you know. Now, see, this is, okay, that's me. What it was, they were showing, they had these 3 doors where I could go in one side and come out the other, and you didn't see me in the other one, but they put the tattoo on my right wrist and my left wrist, so I'd go around, take the mask off, and put the coat on and come back around, and have the boots on. So I was playing both characters at some point.
Wow. And that mark of thorn has 2 dots next to it, where Michael's mark is not the same.
Well, mine has 3, actually, if you look at it closer. There's 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top, but it doesn't always come across on film. And if you look in the house, there's going to be different places where you're going to see the thorn on the walls, like graffiti. and the laundry chute.
The famous laundry chute, yeah. We'll have to touch on that when we get to it.
Yes.
More homage to the original, over the shoulder, watching the kids.
Mm-hmm. But see how the neck flares out?
Right.
This car was kind of strange, too. When I was driving it, and I was like, you know, there's something really, really strange about this car. And it wasn't until years later that one of the transportation people told me that they had bought it from a family. The girl had committed suicide in it 2 weeks before we started filming.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe you don't even need to wear a mask, baby. Baby, I'm yours.
Baby, I'm ready. Sha-la-la.
And Spitz. All these people were really good to work with.
Car is one of the things that is an element in most of the Halloween films, but this is by far probably the coolest vehicle that Michael gets the chance to drive, this Camaro.
Yeah, I always wondered where he learned how to drive. Because he's been in the asylum since he was a little kid, so where did he learn to drive?
Yeah.
Maybe the way I drive it doesn't look like...
Yeah, you do find a tree later. I can't say that you're the greatest driver.
Yeah.
Should we both just get busted out front? Oh, Mike. Nice wax job. Touch the car again and you're dead. Okay. Thank you.
So this little food mart location here, was that just sandwiched into a neighborhood there in Salt Lake?
Yep, mm-hmm. Well, it's just a few blocks from the house that we were filming at, Ellie's house.
So it was a pretty self-contained production probably until we get to the farm.
Right, mm-hmm. Well, everything here is pretty close in Salt Lake.
All right, that's it. Now go, go, go. And don't drink it all before we get there, okay? Idiot.
And here I come.
And that's Jonathan as Mikey. Did you guys work on the choreography of this beforehand?
Well, we kind of, we did it on the fly, kind of. And there I go, scratching his car. But the technique that I used on him, he said, that wouldn't stop me. And I go, okay, you got a tire iron, hit me with it. And I said, you can go ahead, you can hit me. And so as he starts to hit me, I snagged him. And he couldn't bring his arm down. So I go, okay, I get it.
Okay, so let's talk about how that was accomplished there.
Well, actually, that's a prosthetic head, and I put the weed eater through it, and then we go back and they put a prosthetic on his head, you know, where it looks like it's in there. It worked out pretty good, actually. What we did was we went to a farm implement store, and it's like, okay, which of these would you know? So I picked out different things that would be good for killing.
Yeah, Michael really diversifies in this film in terms of the weapons that he's using, that's for sure.
Well, I grew up on a farm, so most of the things that he's using I had to use as a kid. So I was well familiar with them.
So when you were scraping that tool over the metal there, I assume that was obviously not the Camaro in question.
No. We had, well, they bought 3 hoods, or not hoods, but trunks, and they just laid them on top there. And they did the close-up shot, and they just, you know, did that.
First of all, I'd like to thank you parents for supporting us tonight. Now, what we all been waiting for, our annual Halloween costume pageant. Our first couple is Jenny Hogle and Kristen McGinn. Give them a big hand.
So now I know the man in black smokes as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. This is kind of a different sequence, too. I mean, the way they shot it. First it's from his POV, then it's, you know, it's just, I don't know, it works very well. and nothing's really said, except for, you know, she's playing with him.
Using found light, using the headlights.
Uh-huh.
Tina, clean up room service. Michael, open the door. Mike!
This is also unique in that Michael is wearing a different mask in this film. Where did you guys come across the mask that you're wearing here?
That one I couldn't tell you. I think they just found it. I mean, I think it was like a dime store type mask. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. But this is one of the few times that you get to see Michael's eyes.
We have Billy Hill and Jamie Crothers.
You're wearing my present.
But see, the angle they have there is just, I mean, it was really good. And then the hands come up and grip the steering wheel.
Yeah, there's a playfulness to Michael that sort of comes out now and again. And I think, you know, this sequence really showcases that in this film, where he's normally pretty brutal in this movie.
But it's like he's toying with his victims.
Oh, I can't resist your new look.
Jamie, come on.
And just ever so subtle.
Another first.
Mm-hmm.
And with your eyes there, you don't blink. You're just staring straight on, wide open.
But she plays it so well, too, that, you know, she's got the playful, then it's a little fearful, and it's like, what's going on? You know, but she's saying all these things without actually saying them.
So as Michael, being a mime probably came into play more than even being a stunt performer.
Well, it's a combination of both. You know, I mean, because as a stunt performer, you have to be aware of your body positions and how you're going to sell this and do that. And it kind of works, you know, all together.
Great. The old silent treatment, huh, Mike? What'd I do wrong this time, huh? Is it because I want to see Jamie? Nothing, Mike. That's what I get. Nothing. Stop here. I want to pack a cigarette. I said stop the goddamn car. I want to pack a cigarette.
Now, were you driving the car in these sequences here with her when they're cutting to that perspective right there?
Oh, yeah. I'm driving it all the way through. And originally, they were going, because Don Pike was known for being a wheelman. He says, you know, I'm probably going to pull you out from behind the wheel. And then when they saw that I could do it, he said, no way, you can do it. And here we have a lot of the crew as some of the characters.
Is she in danger? Where is she?
No, we've got to get her out of here.
Where is she? Tina, where is she? Jamie?
The grips and stuff dressed up in, there's Greg Nicotero, the special effects makeup guy.
Jamie, you've got to help us. Get Meeker on the line.
Sergeant Meeker, what's your 20?
But no, the driving, I get to do all of it.
Kind of store, what do they sell there?
And what's difficult for her, too, Danielle, in this, is she doesn't talk for the first part of the film. You know, she has to do the mime. She has to do, you know, hand gestures.
Yeah, it sort of further establishes the bond between the two characters, Michael and her.
Mm-hmm.
Cookie woman.
Cookie woman.
I always loved how they knew where the big cookies were. Yeah, it's like with Michael, if he doesn't have the mask on, he's not serious. You know, for doing the kills, he has to put his mask on.
While you were shooting the film, making your way about Salt Lake City, of course they had seen Part 4 shot there as well, a year prior. But did you ever happen to go out and maybe forget to take off part of the costume or have your hand makeup on or anything like that, your mask?
Mm-hmm. What they did was they asked me not to put the mask on unless I was on set. because I put it on and walked to set, and it was freaking out everybody in the neighborhood. So I'd have to put the mask on when I got to set.
Unit 22, apostrophe 07. I don't believe this.
Come on.
Tina!
Where's Jamie? Is something wrong? Tina!
In your opinion, are these films about Michael's relationship with his family, the dance that he does with Loomis, or what do you think the core of this story is behind the Halloween films?
You know, I think it's multi-leveled. You know, that it's, you know, it has to do with the family, but also his relationship with Loomis and how he's trying to get into his head and find out exactly, you know, why he's doing this and maybe become a little bit like him. But I think he kind of explains it, that Michael has this rage, and that he thinks, I mean, Dr. Loomis says this, and that the only way he gets rid of the rage is by killing off his family.
It's interesting that throughout the series, he does show some sort of compassion for Loomis. You know, he has a number of opportunities where he could take care of him, and he doesn't get that done. And it's a similar thing with Jamie, where even in this film, you know, several times, I mean, he really does go after her at some points, but you kind of get the sense that maybe there's something preventing him from actually achieving that, you know, truly going through his whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Tina! For God's sake, stop her!
On whose orders?
She hasn't done anything wrong.
Follow her, then. At least she can do that. If that girl dies tonight...
All right, all right. For you, Doc, anything.
You guys supposed to be trailing me or something? Well, then you can give me a ride to the Tower Farm.
As someone who normally works as the coordinator for stunts on pictures, is it hard for you just to be the stunt player and watch the rest of it happening?
No, it's actually easier. Because when I'm the coordinator, I always worry about the other person. You know, are they going to get through it safely? Are they going to not hurt the person? You know, when I'm doing it, I, you know, have a lot of confidence in what I can do. And I like doing it. You know, that's one of the reasons why I went to stunts instead of staying with acting, because I like doing the physical.
How did you get involved with doing stunt work?
Well, originally I started out wrestling bears. I was working on a movie, or I was doing a play in Salt Lake, and I did special effects makeup. And they had called me about doing special effects makeup, and I said, do you need any actors? And they go, we needed an Indian who can wrestle a bear. And I go, okay. That's kind of how I started, acting and doing stunt work.
A real bear?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then we did a TV series off of it called Grizzly Adams. I played Nakoma.
Oh, ask me if I care.
What are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
Oh, singing.
Where was this farm location?
This is near a town called Ogden. It's about 25 miles from Salt Lake.
Is that Gracie Yates?
Here I am being a voyeur again.
Before you stepped into production here, did you look back at part one or maybe part 2 in the Halloween series?
I didn't, but I remembered them. I always thought, well, 1 and 2 were always my favorite. And Dick Warlock, I think, did an excellent job in part 2.
So everyone who has played Michael, including Dick, has brought a little something different to the character. What would you say that you brought to Michael that hadn't been there before?
I just brought a little more acting to it, where most of the guys have been stunt players before. You know, that I kind of gave a little nuance to it. At least I hope I did.
Got her phone number? You think that's funny?
Hey, no, man. No, hey, just a little Halloween prank, okay?
Definitely not funny. Somebody could easily be dead right now.
Fortunately, we're lousy cops. Sorry.
Hey, guys!
Hey.
Look what I found!
And this barn was on the same farm?
Yep, yeah. Matter of fact, all this next sequence that we're going to see is at the same place.
It's gorgeously lit, again, making use of external lights.
Oh, yeah. The barn was in such disarray that they could put the lights going through the top of it, and then they fogged it up quite a bit. You can see the smoke coming in there just a little too much at that point.
Get him, Tina. Get him, Tina. Get him. You, wait. Mr. Kidding?
The people doing the animal work on this were also the bear trainers that I work with, too, that had Bart. So we go from kittens to bears.
No wrestling kittens.
No wrestling kittens, no. This barn was set up in such a way that we just kept on going. They had the Steadicam working, and we just go in one door and around and go through the stanchions and come back the other way. Wherever the cats would go, we kind of follow them, but it makes it look like it's a maze almost.
Yeah, it really gives you a feel of it being huge.
Kitten, I hear you, but I don't see you.
But I think she has the greatest line coming up here. But see, you can see me in the background, just barely.
Yeah.
But she had to work hard. I mean, the camera's on her the whole time. And there goes Michael again.
What am I doing? I hate cats.
How she hates cats. She just plays it off.
Sammy?
With the barn being in the state that it was, were there safety conditions shooting in there at all? As you were creeping around in the corners?
It was more for the electricians getting up on top of it.
Sure.
But when we were shooting this, we had the special effects guy had these water balloons we could shoot, and we hit somebody on top of the barn with it. Almost knocked him off.
So you guys made sure to have time for fun while making the film?
Oh, yeah. We played through the whole film.
Fine, I'll just let myself out. Bye.
I'll be right back.
Have fun.
Okay.
You know, I really hate killing all these pretty girls.
On the credits for this, George Wilbur is listed as having done stunts. Is that just from the Part 4 footage that we see at the beginning?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
It was because, you know, they used the footage from part 4.
What was your discussion like with him when you met him at a convention?
We just kind of talked, you know, it's just like, oh, you did part 4, you know, we're just, you know, we were stunt guys, you know, nobody really takes it, you know, too seriously, you know, you go from one to another. You know, I was working on a Married with Children with Dick Warlock, and I said, you and I, we played the same characters, and it's like, oh yeah, I go to Michael Myers. And I'd ask him if he'd ever done some of the conventions. He goes, no. And I go, well, you want to? He goes, what do you have to do? And I said, you just have to sign pictures and, you know, that. He goes, oh. So I had a show that I couldn't do, and I called him to see if he wanted to do it. And he goes, really, you're going to do that for me? I go, yeah. Next time I saw him, he had the banner, had all these pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely made the most of it.
Nice. They're all nice. I mean, we have, you know, we get together every once in a while, you know, the guys who played Michael, you know, and everybody thinks that we have this rivalry, but, you know, we're just, you know, stunt guys.
Yeah, it's a real secret society. I mean, you guys have something very special and rare that only you can discuss, like presidents in a way, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, once you've been behind the mask, you know what it's like.
And that brings up an interesting point that when you first got involved with this film, you were familiar with Halloween, but did you have any idea the scope of the dedication from fans, the loyalty, the way that they pour over every scene?
None whatsoever. I had no idea. You know, and they're loyal, great fans.
Is this the film that people address most frequently with you?
Yep. That and the Grizzly Adams. I mean, you know, there's different, you know, time periods.
Right, right.
This whole sequence, the way they shot it, Dominique did it, I mean, you know, it's very sensual. It's not just a sex scene, you know, it's kind of artsy.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, the distinctive look of this film has to do with that natural approach to the lighting with it, where nothing seems directional. It all seems found, and it feels like you're there.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that this is a rare safe sex scene in a horror film.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said it's more artsy. You know, the time, you know, the caressing, the look on their face, you know, it's just not, you know, and you get a reflection of her dress on his face.
Right. This is what I meant by safe sex. The fact that they take the time to do that, it's pretty rare.
To show the condom.
Yeah, exactly. Sends a real strong message.
And here's the voyeur going again.
How did you work with them in preparation for what happens here to them?
Well, I just explained that we're going to do this, this, and that, and don't move this way, don't do that. And I felt so sorry for this guy, because after, I mean, I'm using a real pitchfork, you know, and then they had to put the prosthetic on him, and it took hours to put it on. And he had to be in that position, and then it came loose, and they had to do it all over again. I mean, he was being tortured. And this one was sort of my idea, the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, I had to use a mowing saw, and these are all real. There's no rubber.
You son of a bitch!
That sounded different.
I think it's the fastest weapon change that Michael's ever made.
So it came out pretty good.
Yeah, that's an iconic scene for sure, and it does something completely different with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when Dominique saw it, he's like, the Grim Reaper, oh, yes, yes, yeah. But if you notice when I opened the door, how much fog came out with the...
Get hurt with that thing.
Hey, somebody's gonna get hurt with that thing.
Unbelievable. No respect for authority anymore.
It's the parents.
Yeah.
Hey! All right, punk. I'm through fooling around.
These cops are another sort of controversial point in the film, played for some really obvious comic relief.
Yeah.
So, you coming to the spring?
Oh, baby, you just want to see me naked.
I wouldn't mind. Come on, the hell with Mike ain't gonna show.
I can't leave Sam and Spitz.
Whoever did the costuming for the characters in the party did a good job, too.
Hurry, come on.
So this sequence here is very demanding for both of these kids.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, and Wendy, having to make their way through the field. With the foliage being so tall, all the trees, all the bushes, and everything there, did you have to work through the chase beforehand, or did Dominique just kind of set the cameras, and say, go?
No, we worked it out. I mean, if you look at some of them, the trees were planted, and going into the other sequence where I do the little maze. But it was, it's like, okay, you're going to come here, they're going to do this, and we just hit our marks. But see, they use all the farm implements, like, the shooting through. I mean, Rob just did a great job as far as the DP.
Right.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh!
When I staged that one, those were the real actors falling down. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't feel like calling Don out.
Oh, God! Help me! Please, help me! Help me!
A lot of screaming going on.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of them, you'd think.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Now, driving at night with the mask on in the car, without excessive light around you, how did this whole thing come off?
It was very difficult. And at some points, right here, they wanted me right on her ass. And I'm literally just coming right through. And I'm chasing her. And at one point here, she tripped and I drove the car on top of her. I stopped it just in time. She tripped on the cape. Scared me to death.
What do you want? Leave her! No. Here! Here!
And this next sequence, if you look at it, it's one that not many people, but if you look, I'm sitting on the passenger side. What we're doing is we're using a mirror.
Yeah.
So we're not coming near the little boy. Well, what happened was that the mirror wasn't tempered glass, and it shredded the hood, or the top of it. They thought I was dead. And these are the ones that were planted. And that's Danielle I'm chasing. She wanted to do it. She had a double, but she wanted to do it. There's Laura. But the little maze going through the trees, we kept it in such a way, okay, if you do this one, then I got to come around you. So she was perfectly safe. But, I mean, still, it's dangerous. She was a trooper.
With the smoke and the trees, I mean, it's just amazing that you had any visibility throughout this entire thing. It's amazing no one got hurt.
Yep. Well, that's why they, hire us. This one, I hit the tree about 50 miles an hour, and they put a bomb in there, and it was just supposed to hit it and act like I was knocked out. And waiting. I'm sitting there waiting. The car's catching on fire. and I don't have my fire suit on, and it's starting to roll underneath the firewall. I'm like, oh man. Finally, I hear Don Pike go, "When the F are you going to say cut?" And Dominic goes, "Oh, cut, cut, cut." He was just so in awe of what happened. He's like, didn't know what was, just amazed.
Tina! Baby! Tina! Tina!
This is a pretty good little wreck.
How many cars did they have for the shoot?
2. And see how they use this low angle? It's either his POV or hers,
With just a little bit of light dancing on the leaves in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's such a striking image, that low shot.
Mm-hmm. Well, in this one, I had to move even slower than I normally do. They just wanted it almost creeping. And another pretty girl bites the dust.
And that stab actually is, you see what looks to be the knife penetrating there. Was that just a flat blade that you were pushing into her?
Well, we used 2 different ones. One was a retractable, and it didn't look right. And the other one, I just kind of moved it at an angle and made it look more like I was stabbing her.
Okay.
And had the blood, squirting out of it. A lot of times what you're trying to do is you're trying to hide the blood tubes, get the right angle, make sure that it's there. This was another one of the scenes. I was actually wrapped, and Donald Pleasance came and asked if I would stay, just so that he knew that I was out there. And later on, he has this scene where you have to take the kids away, and I was more than happy to do it.
Loomis! Yeah, I got them here. Dang, come on, get him out of here. Spread out, find the other girl. Come on, Loomis.
Yeah, the use of the lights, the flashlights and the headlights and everything in that sequence with the fog is gorgeous.
Well, and by using the fog, too, you get the atmospheric lighting, where you see the beams of light, the reds, the blues, the whites, everything's very distinct.
Yeah, it's like stage lighting.
Yep.
All right, put 3 units over at the reservoir. And let me know when the count...
Now, are you willing to help me?
Can you kill him?
Was there any difficulty for you stepping into the role of someone who's hunting children? That's one of the things that some people talk about in relation to parts 4 and 5.
Well, we were playing, and they knew we were playing. The kids were better at this, it's like, okay, they go, look, we're kids, but we're not stupid, okay? And, as long as you make it play, it's like, playing the boogeyman. This is the scene where he wanted to know I was out there. And you can still see the barn in the background.
You too, one day, Michael, this rage which drives you.
He's so good.
Yeah, I'd listen to him read the newspaper.
Yes. Or a phone book.
A phone book, even better, yeah.
You have to fight it in the place where it's strongest, where it all began.
Yeah, I think they just grabbed that shot when they knew that I was out there, because it wasn't planned. From his headlights.
Yeah.
Michael, go home. Go home! Go to your house. I shall be there waiting for you. You'll find her waiting for you.
Setting the trap. This house was quite a bit different than the one they used in part one. You know, it has more of a Victorian look.
You had mentioned earlier about the film originally trying to fight an X rating for its gratuitous violence. Was there a lot of gore that was excised from the picture? Do you remember shooting a lot of scenes that didn't make it into the final cut?
Yeah, a few. Because I go back to the hospital and I kill a bunch of people. You know, I twist this one guy's head around and stomped it in the dirt and then put an M16 through a guy's head. And I don't know, there's a few taken out.
But we can all certainly hear you.
All right, relax, Loomis. This is my operation. All right, fellas, let's keep it down on the radio chatter.
Looks like you and me are the only ones around here keeping her cool.
Yeah, we had a concern when we were doing this because they're using kerosene lights, that the house was so old that if you knocked one of those over, we would, you know, all gone up in flames. But look at the lighting on her face.
If you do that good and loud, I'll be out of here in a flash.
So the art department didn't have to do a whole lot with the house then, you're saying? All the rooms were kind of dressed like this already?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Billy? Billy!
Look at her, and she's just so good. See, there's the thorn on the wall. Next to Loomis.
Mm-hmm.
It's all through the house. It didn't, I don't, all the shots came up, but going up the staircase at one point, I go by, I go past the thorn. It's like, you know, somebody's put graffiti up there.
Yeah.
16, calling the Masterson Clinic. Car 16, calling the Masterson Clinic. We just had a distress call from the clinic. They haven't been able to reach them again. There were 4 men up there.
Before we get into the final chapter of the film here where things really start moving, maybe now would be a good chance to talk about the Man in Black character. What can you tell me about the origin of that character?
All right, what they had explained to me, because I take the mask off, you know, later on, is that we were going to be the same person, because they shot a lot of stuff of my face that didn't show up in the movie, and that it was like a alter ego, that we were the same person. I don't know if that makes any sense. That's what they were telling me, because I was playing him and I was playing Michael Myers. You know, when he breaks him out of jail, I go in, I'm the guy breaking him out of jail. It didn't come off that way in part 6, though. But they originally called me and asked me to do part 6. And I started going out and doing the personal appearances.
So it was supposed to be Michael playing the character of the Man in Black as well as himself?
It's sort of like Raising Cain. You know, how you have, you know, the two people being the same person.
Yeah.
But that's why I was taking off the mask so that we could see that, you know, and that I look like Danielle, too. I mean, we kind of look like, you know, she could be my daughter.
That's the third explanation for the Man in Black that I've heard from different people associated with the production.
Well, that's what Dominique had told me, you know, that's what they had planned.
You've got 5 seconds to give me that key before I take it.
Charlie, can you read me?
This is Charlie. What's going on?
There's a car approaching. I'll check it out. Looks like one of ours. It's a code 2. Hey! Ah!
Eddie, do you read me?
This is a friend I'm killing here, Fenton Quinn.
Eddie, come in. Christ. Gotta call Meeker. Crazy son.
Back to the Man in Black. Was that part of the plan from the beginning when you were discussing the production, or was that something that was thrown in later, perhaps even during the shoot?
Well, they told me about that when we were filming the sequence in the attic. And they had, they're doing all the close-ups, and, I'm crying, and they do all these shots of the face and stuff. And that's when they were explaining that to me. And it's like, oh, okay, then I guess I'm going to be back.
And how far into the shoot would that have been, that sequence?
That was at the end of the shoot. So they didn't tell me. I mean, didn't know who that person was and why we were doing that, and, why am I doing it? And I just thought it's because they, didn't want to hire an extra for that day.
Dominique explains that the producers came to him and asked him to sort of inject that character into the film. And so I was curious. It's interesting that he came to you with a little bit of a different spin on it, maybe to get you in a different mindset for it.
That might have been.
You've come back to us, Michael.
And here we go with the scene that I was talking about where you get mesmerized by Donald. But it's not filmed like a horror film. It looks like, it has a lot of production value to it, almost like a church.
Very much so, yeah.
Because the little girl can stop the rage inside.
And once again, you're camouflaged into the background.
Mm-hmm.
She can stop the rage. The rage inside.
But just listening to him, he's so good.
Oh, she's not up there, Michael. She's down here in the middle of the old house. Your house, Michael. Your house.
Did you two work on this scene? It's so, intense for him in particular. Did you run through it beforehand?
Nope, it's all on the fly. But he was so easy to work with.
Was it all scripted, or did he ad-lib any of this?
No, it's scripted.
Just seems so organic of him.
Now.
Michael, you'll be better than ever. You don't need... You don't need that.
But see, he has a little Michael in him. No matter how much you abuse him, he keeps coming back too.
And the way he steps over the edge with Jamie in this film as opposed to 4 and what came before, where he transitioned from sort of the nurturing doctor into almost a madman himself.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's kind of like Sherlock Holmes and Professor Moriarty.
Yeah. There's your shining moment.
Yes, I get hit a few times. Well, I made sure when I bust through that I fling the blood on the director, too. He loved that.
All right. Come on.
And where he goes to using his hands instead of the knife.
Yeah, it's like he's being reduced to some primal urges as opposed to anything artistic at this point, where you...
Mm-hmm. This is one of our assistant directors that I hung there, L.A. McConnell.
No! Inside! There! Turn it on!
Oh, God. Damn.
See, that's one of the guys I killed where he spun his head around.
Okay.
Sheriff, can you copy? Yeah. Third floor secure. We'll be on a second. All right, keep it up.
The only reshoots we did was the beginning. Everything else just went as planned. There we see the laundry chute. She's doing that herself, too. She's... She wanted people to know that she was doing it, and she was.
Can you talk about this sequence? Was this built on partially on a set, partially in the house?
Okay, this part is put into the wall on the set. There wasn't really a laundry chute there. And the sequence where we're inside that's on a sound stage. And this one got a lot of controversy, too, because of, in the original cut, I stab her through the laundry chute. So they cut that part out.
But they left the injury on her leg.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, it could have came from her falling.
True. So Danielle says that she was actually inside a chute as you were going after her with the knife stabbing through it, and she was sort of suspending herself up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's why we had to choreograph it in such a way. I mean, okay, I had this much area to stab into, and she was actually in there when I was doing it, which made me a little nervous at first, and then it's like, okay, we can do this. Well, one of my expertise is edge weapons. I knife throw, tomahawk throw, and I throw my wife's outline with knives. So that's why I kind of get hired for these things. Yeah, those are her legs. You know, they could have used a stunt double, but, I mean, she wanted to do it.
So this would have been laying on its side, maybe? Or how was this the piece that was actually done on the soundstage?
Well, there were two of them. One was laying on its side, and this one, no, this is up and down. I mean, we have one on its side, but the one where I'm stabbing, she's right above it. And the bad thing is there's no hilt on that knife, and it can slide back and cut you real easy. And it was sheet metal. It wasn't, you know, a prop. See, she's got the limp. This is sort of an eerie sequence.
Yeah, it sort of continues the theme of it being almost like a cathedral.
Mm-hmm. This one was shot on a soundstage.
Rachel. Help me. Help me.
It's a great little sequence.
Yeah, Danielle's talked about how hard it was for her to bring herself to be able to lay inside that coffin.
Uh-huh.
Uncle? Boogeyman? Let me see.
So how is it explained to you that Michael would pause there and find this emotional core?
It was because we are the same. And he's showing her that we are the same. And if you saw us, you would say that we were, like I said, father and daughter, or we could be related. And as she says, you're just like me.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like me.
I had to do that on cue
Let me.
until she touches.
What happened right there?
Well, that I was supposed to be thrashing like a shark. I had to throw the stuff around and make sure I didn't break the stained glass window in the back. And the coffin was about 200 pounds, and the wet bathtub's about 400. So, you know, threw them around a couple of times.
Little girl!
And that's the scene where you broke your nose?
No, it's coming up. They wanted me to stab in the coffin right next to her head, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, that's, you know, too much can happen with this going. So we knocked it over and then stabbed it and threw it around. Yeah, this is the sequence where I break my nose.
Let's play a game. Catch the little girl. Come, catch. Mike. Oh. Get the little girl, then you're home and safe.
This thing weighed about 200 pounds, hit me too. It knocked the crap out of me. And they said, you know, this whole thing is, he kept on saying, you're like a shark, you know, thrashing, you know, a frenzy, you know, it's a blood frenzy. Now this is where he gets the 2x4 and he starts whacking me with it. They're hitting me with it. What it was, it's a rubber 2x4, but there's a PVC pipe in it. And he caught me with the edge of it and broke my nose.
Ah.
We kept on doing it, though.
Die! 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 Michael! Die! Die! Die!
I'm taking a pretty good beating here.
So he's finally captured the beast.
When he's laying on top of me, he goes, oh, now I get it. I abused you as a child. So if you watch it, I start laughing just a little bit. This is kind of nice too. Those, the lights inside the cell.
Stay till the day he dies.
Never die.
All right, take her back to the clinic.
Look how little she is, and she's just a little dynamo.
It's so odd to see him caged like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Tony, I'll see you in the morning, huh? Good job. All right, take care, Joe. Thanks. Yeah. Don't forget, you said you'd cover for me tomorrow. Yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. Take it easy.
Dominique has suggested that this ending wasn't his original ending for it, that his film ended with Loomis on top of Michael, and that the rest of the stuff was sort of tacked on. Do you remember that being the case?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And just leaving it at that, whether you don't know if they're both dead, or are they both going to be alive, or just leaving it open. I say, I came back, and the sequence here with the M16, I'm shooting the guards. That's me. Because like I said, throughout the film, I was doing the guy in black, and I was doing Michael, though they had hired another guy as an extra.
They must not have been very clear about the exact character of the Man in Black because of everyone's interpretation of him. Everyone has a different theory.
I only know what they told me, whether that was just to get me to react a different way, but I mean, like I said, that was the sequence we shot there in the coffin. That was towards the end of the film. And this was the last day. Well, except for the reshoot, where we had to go back and reshoot the beginning. But they had a whole sequence where we were killing the people, or I was killing these guards, and none of that made it to the movie. These are all stunt guys. So they're taking the hits and going over stuff and banging into things.
Wow.
Look how good she is. It was quite an experience. And I think Dominic did an excellent job directing, and Rob Draper his photography was excellent. I think it makes it the movie that it is.
You said that you were approached about 6 and even got so far as doing appearances.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mustafa had called me and said that they were going to do a part 6, and would I come back and play the part? And I said, yeah, sure. And so Fangoria had called me, and I went out and did some of their festivals and stuff. And they were like, don't tell everybody about the Man in Black. I go, okay. So I kept that secret for, years and years. And then when they came out with part 6, and it's like, wait a minute, that's nothing to do with what we did.
How was part 6 explained to you? Did they have the story in hand at the time where they were discussing it with you?
No. But they were going to bring back Danielle. They were bringing me back, and I think they were trying to get Donald Pleasance at that time, too. So I think he had said that he wasn't going to do anymore. I think that somebody said that. And anyway, I guess they got into some contract disputes, and they went back with the production team that they had on part 4, and so George Wilbert came back and played it. And the rest is history.
What are the convention experiences like for you?
They're great. I mean, the people tell you how much they appreciate the films, and they know them better than anybody. I mean, they know shot by shot, and you did this, and you did that, and, it's incredible, and I like going out and meeting them, I like talking to them, and, it's a lot of fun.
What were your thoughts on where part 6 went with the storyline that sort of started here?
Didn't understand it. It really, it went off in a whole different direction. You know, I mean, they went with an African American, and as you can see in there, I mean, you can see my wrists and stuff. That you know, I wasn't African American. It just, I don't know. I think it veered away a little too much, especially what they set up in part 5.
I guess the final question would be, Don, would you don the mask again?
In a heartbeat, or somebody else's heartbeat. I could come back and play it at any time. But I've always said, okay, put us all in a room, and whoever walks out gets to be Michael Myers.
That's great. Thanks again for taking part in this.
Well, it was a lot of fun.
Thanks again to everybody for listening to the commentary track. Hope you enjoyed our conversation here. Shed some new light on a lot of the mysteries that were set up in part 5. It's been a lot of fun, and Don, I really want to thank you once again for taking part.
Well, thank you. I've had a lot of fun reliving some of the things I did many years ago.